Hello, hello, hello. I have some big stories to go through with you today. I want to go through the truth of what really happened with the Zelensky Trump, JD Vance, Marco Rubio White House meeting. I want to talk about more corruption being explained by Elon Musk of Doge, corruption at some of the highest levels, and how American taxpayer money was being used fraudulently to try to overthrow the United States of America. Thank you so much for joining me. And let's go ahead and jump right into today's news broadcast. During a very important meeting today in the Oval Office, things got heated between President Trump and Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, yesterday. The feud went down after Zelensky questioned Vice President JD Vance's claim that the U.S. is engaging in diplomacy, as Zelensky seemingly pushed for America to fight and give more money and more equipment instead of trying to broker a peace deal. President Trump stated, "You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. You're gambling with World War III, and what you're doing is very respectful to the country, this country that has backed you." But instead of backing down, President Zelensky kept arguing that if President Trump and JD Vance would just tour Ukraine, they would feel different. But Trump flat out disagreed, stating, "You don't know that. You don't know what we're going to feel. You're in no position to dictate that to us." Now, unfortunately, things escalated so badly that President Trump had the president of Ukraine removed from the White House and canceled all additional meetings and press conferences going forward, which means the entire reason Zelensky came was for nothing. It completely wasted President Trump's time. That's where I want to go deeper on this story. So, as the left-leaning media is suggesting, did Vice President JD Vance and President Donald Trump tag team attack President Zelensky of Ukraine? The answer is no. Did Zelensky break from the agreed upon meeting purpose? Yes. So I want to go through this entire thing because what's happened is Zelensky came for a very specific reason: to start negotiating the peace agreement and to sign the mineral rights agreement, neither of which happened. Instead, what happened was for 40 minutes, he antagonized President Trump, said America wasn't doing enough, that we need to fight Putin, that this is Putin's fault. Over and over and over again, he antagonized him. Then the cameras came on and you saw about 7 minutes of arguing, with the last 2 minutes of Trump finally jumping in. The entire thing was an ambush in order to try to publicly shame President Trump into giving more money and military equipment. But he was already planning on that. So there were 40 minutes of discussion up to the argument. Most people saw at most the last 10 minutes. The whole video gives proper context, and I recommend that you go watch the entire video. Now, when I first watched the argument without proper context, I thought possibly Trump and Vance were ambushing Zelensky and trying to humiliate him or back him into a corner. It actually ended up being just the opposite of that. For 40 minutes, they had a calm conversation, except for the fact that Zelensky cut President Trump off many times right in the middle of a sentence. Vance made a point that didn't attack Zelensky, but rather attacked the Biden administration. So for the first 40 minutes, Zelensky kept trying to go beyond what was negotiated in the deal, beyond the entire purpose of the meeting. When Trump was asked a question, it was always, "We'll see, we'll see." Zelensky made blanket assertions that there could be no negotiating with Vladimir Putin of Russia, that Russia must pay for the war, and that he would just play with Donald Trump but continue the war. Now, when Trump said that it was a tragedy that people on both sides were dying, Zelensky interjected that Russia was the invader. For his part, Trump made it clear that the United States would continue to allow Ukraine to buy military equipment. All Zelensky had to do was remain calm and sign the deal. Now, Zelensky was at the White House because the entire purpose of this meeting was to negotiate for peace and to negotiate a mineral rights deal. Here's how diplomacy works. So a president of a country or a king or a prime minister, they never do the first meetings. It's always an envoy or a special envoy of people. Like, for example, Marco Rubio. When Marco Rubio went over to Saudi Arabia and was negotiating on behalf of President Trump, on behalf of the United States, and he met there with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Waltz was there. Saudi Arabia was there. Nowhere here do you see Vladimir Putin, and nowhere here do you see President Donald Trump. The entire point of that is to get everything done before the big dogs come in and finish things up. So Trump knows things are not negotiated with Putin. That's why he's not meeting with Putin. But on Zelensky's side, he thought this was a done deal. They brought him over to the United States because he thought, no more money. We're going to negotiate the demands of the peace treaty, and we're going to sign the mineral rights agreement, which would have given financial incentive for the United States of America to defend the territory. As of right now, we have no skin in the game. Ukraine is not part of NATO, and this is a European issue. This is not an American issue. On top of that, over 80% of the American people do not want another penny sent to the country of Ukraine. So Trump, as the most pro-American president we've ever had, he would have had to betray the American people, the voters, the 80% of Americans that say no more money to Zelensky in order to make this meeting go well. So he was not negotiating in good faith when he came to the United States. Trump said no more money. We're going to economically strengthen Ukraine, help them get back on their feet and end the killing. But that's not what Zelensky wanted. Instead, once the live cameras went on, Zelensky started begging for money, military equipment, saying the United States wasn't doing enough, that we were pandering to Vladimir Putin. The entire thing was a trick to try to pressure President Donald J. Trump into giving more money on national television. So the rare mineral deal failed to go through. It would have given the United States 50% ownership in any rare earth minerals, which most of them probably would have been purchased by the United States herself anyway. Zelensky declined to sign the proposal as he maintained that this deal is too much in favor of the United States. Zelensky stated, "I didn't let the minister sign a relevant agreement because in my view, it's not ready to protect us. The US is protecting their own interest." Well, of course we are. We've given you over $200 billion for a war that you're losing. We're getting nothing in return for this European war. Now, does this mean that we're going to betray Ukraine? No. That we haven't supported Ukraine? No. I think that Zelensky came in highly emotional. He's got bad feelings towards President Trump, and this whole thing fell apart. Now, here's what's really going on. So now you have Democrats saying, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in our country's history. We need to band together as Democrats and next week file articles of impeachment on Donald Trump. So we now have another situation where, because of a conversation with President Zelensky of Ukraine, Democrats want to try to impeach Donald J. Trump from the presidency. On the other side of the ocean, you now have many members of the Ukraine government that are saying, Zelensky has led our people to death. He is not good at diplomacy. He was disrespectful to the United States. It's time to impeach Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, Zelensky is 1 year over his presidency. He canceled elections. He has a very, very low approval rating. But so now you have a president of America with a high approval rating fighting on behalf of the American taxpayer. 80% of us said no more money to Ukraine. And President Trump has campaigned for 18 months. No more money to Ukraine, end the war. So why would Zelensky show up and try to pressure President Trump into giving more money and continuing the war? That's the opposite of what you would want to do. If Donald J. Trump tells you for 18 months in a row he wants to end the war, you don't come here and say, hey, any chance you want to continue that war? You can now better understand why Zelensky was kicked out of the White House and why President Trump canceled the press conference. Now, Zelensky went on to Fox News with Bret Baier later that night, said he didn't understand what was going on, why Americans were so mad, why he was kicked out of the White House because he had not done anything wrong, and that he was just there having a conversation. So this guy is completely clueless when it comes to diplomacy, when it comes to negotiation. And this is like a textbook classic example of biting the hand that feeds you. And Trump was trying to calm things down by saying, like, listen, the cards are not in your favor. And Zelensky's like, I'm not playing cards. This is war. And Trump's like, listen, with us, you have backing. We will back you if we have a reason to back you. But now you're not giving us a reason to back you. So that's what's going on here. And I wanted to help you guys understand that better. Even Marco Rubio went on and said, this thing was completely opposite of what was planned, right? Like this was not like the meeting that took place in Saudi Arabia, where the lower negotiators come together before the big presidents all come together. All right, now I have some big Elon Musk breaking corruption stories that I want to share with you. But first, a word from our sponsor. The US dollar is under attack, and the stock market this last week, oh my gosh, it dropped big time in several key areas. Trump's return to office is set to usher in the golden age, but growing trade tension and China's ruthless attack on the US dollar has rattled the stock market. That's why Warren Buffett just dumped $133 billion from the stock market. Jeff Bezos, Larry Page, and even Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase, the world's largest bank, they all just dropped billions and billions of dollars. Why? Because they see that something big is coming. And that's why thousands of informed IRA and 401k savers are now shielding their wealth, their savings with gold. I want you guys to understand the importance of gold. It's something that I own. It's something that I believe in. And Colonial Metals Group, they can help you by speaking with one of their experts. I want you to call 800-807-2143 or go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Stephen-Gardner. They can help you out. Now, you're going to get a free gold guide on how to bulletproof your wealth with gold. You are also going to get a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver. Again, give them a call and go learn from them. All right. Elon Musk. As busy as Elon Musk is, he had time to go on the Joe Rogan show for a 3-hour interview about government corruption. One of the segments that he went on down a rabbit hole with Joe Rogan was how billionaire George Soros was secretly using USAID money, taxpayer money, with the knowledge of Democrat leaders in Congress to rig American elections and overthrow the United States of America. Now, in my opinion, that is treason. Somebody needs to be in trouble. Somebody needs to answer for why Democrats in Congress were allowing billionaire George Soros to steal our money and use it to take over the United States of America. Now, I want to show you this clip because I think it will help you understand better than me trying to explain it. So let me go ahead and pull this up, and we'll go through it together. Here we go. I believe this is it.
It's a hack to the system where someone can get an NGO stood up for a fairly small amount of money. Like George Soros is really good at this. Like George Soros is like a system hacker. Like he figured out how to hack the system. He's a genius at arbitrage. I mean, these days he's pretty old, but a genius at arbitrage. So he figured out that you could leverage a small amount of money to create a nonprofit, then lobby the politicians to send a ton of money to that nonprofit, so you can take what might be, a $10 million donation to a nonprofit to create a nonprofit and leverage that into $1 billion NGO. And a nonprofit is a weird word. It's just a non-governmental organization. And then the government continues to fund that every year. And it'll have a nice sounding name, like the Institute for Peace or something like that. But really, it's a graft machine.
And what are the requirements with that money? What do they have to do?
Just really no requirements at all.
So they just get grants and the government just assumes that they're doing good work.
I think a lot of people in the government know that they're not doing good work. But it's a giant graft machine.
Okay. So what he's saying is, after digging in, what they've realized is that George Soros, everyone thought George Soros was using billions of dollars to influence politics in America. When in fact, what he was really doing is he would set up a charity or an NGO with $1 million, maybe $10 million, right? So let's say the Stephen Gardner Institute for Peace, I put up $1 million, right? And then through my friends, my connections in the Democrat Party, I get them to fund me with not $1 million, but $1 billion, 1,000 millions, right? So I get to 1,000x my money and my influence, and it's done under the guise of nobody's checking this, under the guise of the Democrats pushed this through when no one was looking, and under the guise of I'm a billionaire doing philanthropy. Okay. So he 1,000x the leverage of his money and uses stolen US taxpayer money. He then was using that to rig American elections. When he couldn't do that anymore because Obama was out, he switched to going after district attorneys, people like Fonnie Willis, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg. He started funding this and then realized, wait a minute, these cost 1,000% less than a presidential election. I'll get these district attorneys in, and then they'll change the law to allow more crime. This dude is sadistic. Like he's mentally unwell, right? So all of this is being done with the Democrats' knowledge under the cover of darkness. And Elon Musk has now come in going, wait a minute, I figured out the leverage. I figured out how he was doing this. And then he started going after Supreme Court nominations. And that's what's happening right now. You guys need to look this up. In Wisconsin, they're trying to rig the Supreme Court so that they will redistrict Wisconsin, and then we lose 2 House seats. And now all of a sudden there's a tie, or possibly Democrats now control the House of Representatives. I mean, this is wicked brilliant, but wicked evil stuff. And Elon Musk is saying, oh my gosh, these Democrats have been destroying the country with our money, with conservative Americans' money, in the name of democracy, which really means in the name of destroying America. So anyway, big story. Okay, the other story that I wanted to share with you guys is another Elon Musk story. Listen to this. So Elon Musk explains how Republican Senator Susan Collins approved $12 billion to the military, I believe the Navy, in order to build new submarines. Then it turns out he's discovered that none of that money went towards building submarines, but 100% of the money disappeared. Then Susan Collins, Senator Collins, holds a public investigation to tell the American people, we don't know where the money is, and there's no submarine. I mean, America is living in a scam where they've been stealing our money, doing fake work, but keeping the real money and screwing us over. Let's go ahead and watch what Elon Musk shared with Joe Rogan about this corruption story.
You know, in the case of Twitter, it wasn't a profitable company. It was like basically a break-even company, but at least it was break-even, and it had to pass an audit. The federal government is not break-even. It's literally losing $2 trillion a year, and it does not pass its audits. It fails its own audits. So, like, you know, there's a case where, like, I think Senator Collins was telling me about how she gave the Navy $12 billion for more submarines, got no extra submarines, and then held a hearing to say where'd the $12 billion go, and they were like, we don't know. That was it. I mean, basically, the stuff is so crazy. It's like only the federal government could get away with this level of waste. Waste. It's mostly waste. It's mostly not fraud. It's mostly waste. It's mostly just ridiculous things happening.
Because they've been able to do it this way for so long, they've become accustomed to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Milton Friedman said, like, money is most poorly spent when you're spending someone else's money on people you don't know. How much are you going to care?
Right.
And that's the federal government. So they're spending someone else's money on people they don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, Elon Musk, sometimes he's hard to listen to because he stutters a bunch, but he's such a brilliant guy. The way that they're tracking this down, I just love what he said right there. So you have other people, you have somebody spending other people's money on people they don't know, and nobody in the process cares, right? So what would you do? You have access to a bunch of other people's money, spending it on people you don't know and you don't care about the outcome. And at the end of the day, you don't care, right? So I don't believe Susan Collins is in on this grift. I don't believe that she is stupid, but she doesn't care enough to track it. And then when she circles back around, she goes, where's the submarine? Where's the $12 billion? And they just go, we don't know. All we know is that money is spent and gone. And then they go, all right, well, we don't really care. We got to move on to approving the next scam with American taxpayer money. Let me know over in the comments. At this point, doesn't taxation just really feel like your money is being stolen? Like, I've always hated paying taxes. I used to tell my financial planning clients, there's nothing patriotic about overpaying on your taxes. But now, as I dig in and I learn this stuff, I just realize the federal government is really, really corrupt. It's really disgusting to me. President Trump is not perfect, but I am so grateful that he stood up to Zelensky and said, no more money You end this war or you don't deal with America. Why would you want more of your own citizens to die? Is it ego? Is it pride? Is it to keep the grift going so that they don't kill you? I don't know. I think the whole thing is really, really weird. All right, final story. Let me share this one with you guys. This is over on the New York Post. A staff member has come forward and said that nearly everybody at the White House knew that Joe Biden had age issues and dementia, and they opted for gaslighting the American public instead of telling the truth. They opted for a cover-up. So, and they're saying that many of the most well-known members of the mainstream media, they knew this, and they were a part of the cover-up. They were a part of the Weekend at Bernie's charade that President Biden was healthy. So nothing that the rest of us that aren't paying attention didn't already know. But wow, what an absolute disappointment. Really, really sad. Really, really sad. I can't believe that we would be involved in something like that. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you get on to your Saturday. I love you. Thank you for being a part of the community. There's over 10,000 of you right now. If you like this channel, you like getting the truth, give this video a like. If you're not already a free member of the channel, hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. My team and I will continue to do hours and hours of research every single day to keep you in the loop on what's really going on in Washington, D.C. I love you. Stay amazing. I got some great interviews coming out later today. Have a great rest of your day.